the one, the only, Ben
Morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, Iyun to Lean On. Today we're doing Orach Chaim, Siman Reish Samech 268. One of the halachas over here, a couple of the halachas, differentiate between the three tefillos, Ma'ariv, Shachris, and Mincha versus Musaf on Shabbos. For example, there's a couple of different halachas. For example, if you're daven the tefillah of Chol, right, during Shachris or Ma'ariv, you finish the bracha and then you go back to the beginning of the middle of bracha. Musaf, you don't even finish the bracha because the reason is very self-explanatory. Really, you're supposed to say tefillah Shmona Esrei Yuchel brachos even on Shabbos. The Rabbanim, because of Shabbos, is supposed to enjoy Shabbos. They have more time to talk with family, to eat with family. So therefore, their Mekil only had Shmona Esrei of Sheva brachos. But Mikar Adin should really be 18 brachos. So therefore, you finish the bracha and you go back. However, Musaf, it was only Mesukah, and you only say Korban Musaf. They only brought the Korban Musaf on Shabbos and Yom Tov. So there's no reason that Tefillah Shmona Esrei does not apply on Musaf. So you would therefore stop your bracha in the middle and go back to the middle bracha of Tefillah Musaf. Another halacha that applies over here is that if you made a mistake in Tefillah Shabbos and you daven and say Shachris instead of Musaf, or Musaf instead of Shachris, you're not Yotze. Why not Yotze? Yesh Olam says you're not Yotze in halacha vav, because they're not interchangeable. If you daven Shachris instead of Ma'ariv, or Ma'ariv instead of Shachris, or Shachris instead of Mincha, you're Yotze, because they're the same idea. It's just mentioning Shabbos, right? That's all you need to do is mention Shabbos. Even if I daven Tefillah Chol, I mention Shabbos, I'm Yotze. As opposed to Musaf, I don't have to mention Shabbos. I just have to mention the Karbonos Musaf Yotze. But if I just mention Shabbos without mentioning the Musaf, I'm not Yotze. Because Musaf, what's the reason for all these halachos? The reason for all these halachos is because the Gemara Mesachos Brachos says that why do they establish the tefillos? The tefillos, there's two reasons they made Shachris, Mincha, Musaf. Connected to Avod Tikna, right? Avram daven Shachris, and Yitzchak daven Mincha, and Yaakov daven Ma'ariv. And the second reason, connected Karbonos Tikna. Two different reasons, right? The Shachris is in place of Tamid Shal Shachar, Mincha, Tamid Shal Ben Arbayim, and Ma'ariv, Evarim Pedarim, based the leftover limbs and bones were burnt on the Mizbeach all night, so that's why Tefillas Musaf. Now, it seems that both of you are just going to Darabonim, but we know many Gemaras, at the end of the Mesachos Menachos, the Gemara says that when you say the Parshios, or you mention the Karbanos in the base of Megiddo, even though you can't bring the Karbanos, it's like I was Yotze with the Karbanos. Mido Rice or Yotze with the Karbanos. So the reason of Karbanos connect get Karbanos taken is a stronger reason. It's a reason Del Raisa, presumably, as opposed to the Avos from Masakin and that kind of is just the Rabbanon. And therefore, the Tefillas Musaf, which is only, right, all three Tefillas, Shachris, Mincha, and Ma'ariv, have both reasons. So Musaf only has one reason. So therefore, Musaf is only a Tefillah Mido Raisa, not a Tefillah Mido Rabbanon. And therefore, you can't interchange that with Shachris, Mincha, and Ma'ariv, because there, you have two elements, right? Musaf only has one element, so therefore they're different tefillos, not interchangeable, and that's also why the halacha and halacha dalet. If you just mention Musaf, even though you mention Shabbos and tefillas Musaf on Shabbos, you're Yotze, because tefillas Shabbos is basically connected to the Yudches Brachos, which is the Avos Tiknum. Musaf is just mentioning the Karban Musaf. It's only a Chiyav Del Raisa, not a Chiyav Del Rabbanon, and that explains the other halacha that right, when you're in the middle of Musaf, and you're in the middle of the Yudchet Brachos, you stop, because Yudchet Brachos, the concept of tefillah is Del Raisa. And therefore, even by Korban Musaf, there's the concept of Del Raisa. The practicality, the Yudchet Brachos, is where the Rabbanan came in. Right, the Rabbanan later on, Masak Yudchet Brachos. I don't think Avram and Yitzchak and Yaakov made Yudchet Brachos. They daven whatever daven they daven. But that premise was established by the Avos, and it was formulated later by Shmuel HaKatan, who made it. The Gemara Megillah says to Yudchet Brachos. Once it's Yudchet Brachos, that's the Rabbanan, and that does not have anything to do with Keneged Karbonos Tiknum, and therefore you stop in the middle. Karban Musaf on Shabbos is a new tefillah only because of the Karban Musaf. It has nothing to do with Yudchet Brachos or Keneged Avos Tiknum. I think that's the distinction of halacha. I hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.